Hey guys, welcome back to the Profit Channel. It's been a long time since I've done a video. It's been a little busy, but and also I used to do these videos from my car or from my garage. But I since have converted one of the spare bedrooms into a little studio, so I can do more videos for you guys more often. So today I want to do a video on Mullen Automotive. Today we're going to talk about some of the articles that have been out, but they've been deleted since, so I couldn't find anything. But I did see one article that I believe it was from Investor's Place. They're like a publishing company, and they had something like, "Oh, Mullen is gonna soar to like 7,000%." So let's talk about that. If there's a possibility of that, this video is going to be very interesting. So if you're a Mullen shareholder, you need to watch this because we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. So watch this video throughout, and if you like it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe for more videos. I do a lot of videos on crypto and other really nice stocks that we talk about. So today we're going to talk about whether this is a candidate for a huge short squeeze. And we're also going to talk about some of the pros and cons and some of the latest developments that have occurred with Mullen. So first of all, I want to make sure that we talk about a few things. But before that, I want to remind you that so far, everything that David, the CEO, has been saying so far, a lot of it is coming through. So this guy is not just like talking out of his thing, right? It is actually coming through. So just lately, in the past month or so, these are the things that has happened. So they got a purchase order of 6,000 cargo vans from Randy Marion Automotive. So that's a huge thing. That's a lot of cargo vans. And this cargo van industry that they're actually, getting into, there's not a lot of competition other than like Rivian that makes those cargo vans, but they're strictly made for Amazon. So there's a bunch of companies that are into commercial logistics that need these. Like there's so much market for this, right? EV cars, everyone is coming up with one, and their grandma is making it. But like this cargo van that they're coming up with, and then their Bollinger trucks that hopefully the army or military or somebody is going to be giving them a purchase order for. That's going to be huge. If that happens, this stock right away is going to go up to like $5 to $10, like right away, because that's huge if they get into military, because those contracts are not going to be like peanuts. They're going to be big, right? So anyways, so that's 6,000 purchase order that they got. And then the iGo has also arrived in Europe. So that's their smaller cars that they've made. Those are the tiny cars. They look like those Fiat cars or the smart cars from Mercedes. They're pretty small. They have a small range, but they're very good for Europe because their streets are tight, and these would be amazing for deliveries and things like that. So those have already arrived in Europe. So these are two of the things that they've already done that they were talking about. So the third thing is that they signed up a partnership with Loop Global for some EV charging stations, and they're also going to be doing some superchargers that are going to be charging these vehicles a lot faster. So that's huge too, right? Being a partner with someone like that, Loop Global is big. I don't know if you've looked into them or not, but anyways, couple of the things that I wanted to talk about. So they have $626 million in market cap, right? Which to me sounds okay. So it is a really tiny market cap because they have billions potentially in assets. So all that Elms assets that they bought, that prior GM factory that used to make Hummers and things like that, or the Mercedes SUVs, they bought that. So that right there, they bought those like pennies on the dollar, right? So just I believe they have billions in assets alone. But apparently right now their market cap is $626 million, which is really low. So I mean, these guys have such room to grow, it's not even funny. They can go a lot higher. That's why I did some other videos where it basically tells you like what I think the price can hit. So watch those videos if you haven't. They're on my channel. They also hired a couple of guys from Ford and GM, some of the sales guys and things like that. Yeah, these guys may be, some people are like, oh, but these guys are like retired and they would just take any job. Not necessarily, because you have to think about it. There's so many of these startup EV companies that these guys, they don't have to go with Mullen. They can just go with any other ones. But why are they all choosing to come to Mullen, right? So they're obviously seeing some sort of potential. So that's a good thing. Now they bring in like 30, 40 years of experience with them, right? Or potentially double that if you put them together. Now let's come back to the fact that could this be a candidate for a huge short squeeze, right? Now let me first of all let me just tell you something, right? So I've been in stocks for a long time, and many years ago I seen a short squeeze that was like literally it went to the moon, like that guy behind me. Like I seen Tilray. Okay, it was Tilray is like a weed company, right? So they went from $27 all the way to $300 plus. Okay, and this happened in like 3 months because they were experiencing a short squeeze and everyone was getting into it and the hype was there and all that. So I mean that, but keep in mind Tilray had a bigger percentage of their float as short, compared to what these guys have. Now let's go back to how much of Mullen's float is short. So it's about almost 13%. So if you go to Yahoo Finance, it's not showing that. It's showing a little bit less, but they're not updated it too often. So it is around 13% right now. Now, is that a big percentage compared to like some stocks that have huge short squeezes? No, it's not, right? Because you have to have over 30% for like a really nice juicy squeeze. But that being said, this could also, go to the moon just because of that and the hype if they come up with like a good PR on a good day, right? Because you don't want to put a PR on like a crappy day where like everything is down. That will, it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to go up. Now, some of the other things, I was looking at their balance sheet. So their balance sheet, Mullen has about $60 million in cash, and they have about $11 million in debt. So, I mean, if you look at the debt to cash ratio, that's pretty big. Like that's a really good thing. So that to me is really nice because if they have more debt than they have cash, that's a problem. But keep in mind also that they're burning through cash, right? Which we'll get to why that is important for later. But right now, let's talk about the rest of the stuff. So their balance sheet also shows liabilities of $78 million, and their assets are 17 million. So but it, there's a lot of things that is not mentioned there, like the properties, that the assets that they like, nothing is there. It's just showing you what they want to show you right now, which I don't think includes a lot of the stuff, because if it was there, that number for their assets would be a lot higher than what it is. 17 million is nothing, right? Just what they bought from Elms alone, that's like, if you were to build that facility right now, you would be spending like more than $1 billion, and it would take you 3 to 4 years to build that. So they got that pennies on a dollar. Now, where I think the juiciest thing for and the game changer for Mullen is where the battery game. So if their battery technology, if somehow they make that work, because keep in mind they're talking about a lot of stuff, right? So even if they are able to achieve half of that, I think that's great. So yeah, the battery technology, that could be a game changer. Now those were all the positives. Let's talk about some of the negatives as well, because I want you guys to be aware of both. Now, yes, their liabilities, are greater there than their assets, but I don't think that's, they're counting everything. So that's that. Now, keep in mind that they are and will be doing a lot more dilution, or they're going to be offering a lot more, right? Because They have to do that. This is a new company. It's almost like a startup, but they're not really. But they're still new. I mean, they don't have any, you know, positive cash flow or revenue yet. But they might be getting that soon from the iGo and all that, right? And some of their cars are going to be coming this year. They're going to be delivered. So, cash flow is going to improve drastically. Now, back to the dilution. And so this is a new company. They're going to want more money to keep themselves afloat and to invest into other things. So they are going to have to do some offerings or some kind of dilution later on, right? Which would increase their float. Now, what they would do is they would keep increasing their float to a point where it's going to get a lot, and then what they'll do is they'll do a reverse split, right? So they might do a, so they're saying there may be a reverse split if they don't meet that $1 or whatever that it is that they have to meet by a certain time, or else they're going to be kicked out. So I think that we're going to go over $1 before then. And because by the time that expires, I believe they get another 60 days or so. Anyways, I don't think that is going to happen then, but they may do an RS if their float gets too big. So keep that in mind. So if you have like 1,000 shares, you might end up with like 300 or less. So that is a possibility. That's why a lot of the people are like they're accumulating a lot right now, just in case that does happen. I've seen it happen numerous times. And usually when companies do an RS, it's not a good thing. Like 90% of them, there's only a few that may make it, but usually all of them would just disappear. So that's a real possibility that you have to keep in mind. The other possibility is also that the short squeeze that everyone thinks, and they're like, oh, 7,000%, blah blah blah. It may not happen, unfortunately, just because when everyone is expecting something, it usually the opposite is true. So yeah, and the float, 13% of which that is short. To me, it is definitely a short squeeze candidate, but it's not going to be like one of those where like Tilray went from like $27 to $300, right? That's not going to happen. Yeah, we might see it like go to $5, which is what it was for something before pandemic or whatever, right? And then the other thing that is kind of, in my opinion, it's what made it go 100% higher in the past month or so. Keep in mind it was 18 cents, right? And right now it's at 38 cents or whatever. So it's over 100%. That's how much it went up in the last month. So, but that was because the borrowing cost to short the stock was really, really high. Unfortunately, that's been dropping a little bit, so keep that in mind too. So it's not as high as it's used to be. So people are more, I guess, tempted now to short it maybe if it's feasible for them. But I still think it's high, so it's not really worth it. And a lot of the shorts are covering. That's why you would see a little bit of an increase in the price. Those are mainly shorts, covering, so buying. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, but the institutions are increasing. Let me tell you something about that, okay? There's ways you could go check out to see if like institutions are increasing. Yes, they are. So if you look at the net buys and compare them to the net sells, the buys are a lot more, but they are like not a lot. Like, okay, so yes, BlackRock and Vanguard and these guys, they bought into it, but they bought like 26 million shares. And 26 million shares, if it was like 20 cents, that's not a lot, right? For a company like Vanguard, where they buy like 150 million shares of Tesla at like $200 now. So when you're buying something 26 million, which is not that much, and on top of that the share price is so low, it's nothing for them. They have to buy those because they have these different ETFs where they have to buy like the small caps and put them in there, right? Because they have a basket of these stocks where they have to keep filling them, right? So I don't want you to pay too much attention to that, because in reality, yes, they are buying, but the buys are like peanuts, right? They're almost like nothing to those guys. If they start buying like 100 million shares and this and that, then okay, yeah, that's pretty substantial. But right now, I think you guys need to, that's something that I wouldn't be too excited about. But anyways, overall, listen, I haven't done a video in a long time, but I did add some more to my mill. And so I only have a few thousand shares right now. It's not a lot compared to some of you guys, but me, I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to stocks, because I've been in it for a long time, and I used to be one of the top traders out of 5,000 traders at Deckmart Trade. So I've kind of learned my lesson. I don't put all my eggs in one basket, sort of say. So yeah, I like the stock. I think it has potential, especially with the low price that it is right now. Once we're in a risk on market, which right now is risk off, I think this is going to do very well, because everything is beat. Everything has come down. Even the best of the best stocks are down right now. So I mean, for me, that's the best opportunity to, build generational wealth. So I'm adding more to my more conviction plays, like more of the blue chip stocks. Um, but I do have a little bit of my portfolio that I want to dedicate towards the more riskier assets. So that is, something like Mullen. It has a huge opportunity, but at the same time, it's very risky, because they're going to need to raise funds, and so you're going to see dilution, you're going to see offerings. Some of the things that they're promising may not be true, may not come true. Like that, one of the facilities that they bought, a couple of other car manufacturers already had bought that, but it didn't work out for them, right? So I just want you to keep, you know all of these things in mind when you're in a stock like Mullen. Does it have the potential to go to the moon? Yes, it does. Um, but it also, the money that you put in here, just keep in mind that you have a chance to lose it. So that's why I keep mentioning that everything in this video that I always talk about, or all my videos, is never financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but it is just my opinion. And whenever I add to a position or I do some research, I make a video for you guys so that everyone is aware. I do this just to educate more people. I'm not selling a course. I'm not expecting anything from you guys. But if you like the video, you found it beneficial, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe for more videos. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on different stocks, as well as a lot of Mullen, because I want to bring a lot of people's attention to this. It's a sleeping giant that has a huge potential. So anyways, guys, with that, I hope that you enjoy your day or night, and we'll see you on the next one.